The Scientific Research Council has been getting complaints from consumers about the quality of bottled water. Here to share what those concerns are and what bottled water producers can do to improve the quality of their product are Dr. Shara Watson, Executive Director of the Scientific Research Council, and Ray Anshaw Phillips, Team Leader of the Analytical Services at the SRC. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Shara, before we get specific, what's the overall role of the Scientific Research Council?
The SRC is a public body. It's within the Ministry of Science, Energy, Technology, and Telecom and Transport. And we are responsible for doing scientific research to support national development. And within that, we support industries, we support consumers, and we support ordinary Jamaican who want to know what is happening.
I know what the word means, but in this case, what does support mean?
Support comes in a lot of ways. We can give you guidance in terms of if you want to explore something that you see in your natural environment, whether it be you want to find out what a particular plant material can do, whether you want to develop a product, or in this case, if you have concerns about the quality of products you're consuming, you can engage us and we can give you guidance and also support you in terms of analysis, should that be the case.
Okay.
Ray, you guys have been receiving complaints from customers. What are some of the concerns that are being raised?
Yes, so customers have been complaining that they're having some gastrointestinal issues. So some persons may say, I have bought water, whether it's bottled water or water from a water refilling station. I'm not feeling so well. Mm-hmm. I might have had diarrhea, might have had nausea, might have had vomiting. So they are now contacting us to say, what are some of the, are these water bottles safe?
Are you hearing anything that is want to?
So they're checking us out to say what is happening with the water.
All right. So when they contact you, Shara, what's the next step?
So want to be very clear. In that full chain from a product being produced to you getting it as a consumer, there are many variations and things that can happen in between. So when a customer or a potential client contacts the SRC to say, I've consumed a particular product and I have concern that it might have made me ill, we first have that conversation to try to see what happened in between you consuming it, how was it stored, was there a breach in the packaging, to kind of try to narrow down where a potential issue could have arisen, leading to the mild reaction that you're having. If it's a case where based on what those preliminary conversations or sometimes further investigations lead to, we will either sample independently or we'll contact the manufacturer and to go in and get those, analysis done of the product to try and narrow down where the issue is happening. Okay. So that's a part of the initial step. But it can be very intense and it can be very elaborate. So it's not a simple, I don't feel good, this is what is causing it. There's a whole investigation that goes on to try to analyze.
Where is it? You said here, you sought to reassure the public that most water bottled locally are of high quality and meet certain safety requirements. Well, most mean is not all of them good.
Because we haven't assessed all of them.
And then certain safety requirements I suspect would mean that not all of them have what they're supposed to have.
So there are water quality standards. Bottled water is classified as a food. It's a food product, especially when you're making it available for mass consumption or through retail, process of creating a business from it. So there are minimum standards that must be upheld to guarantee safety and quality.
I want to jump in. I accept that. But why would you not tell me which one is not good? And why would you not tell me what safety requirements they did not meet?
Main thing is, and that's a great question because it's one of the things that a lot of persons have been saying. Why are you saying some of them might not be at the quality that they should and not calling names? Yeah. You're not helping us. The truth of the matter is breaches can happen for different reasons. I mentioned the investigation to try to analyze where the issue might be. Most times, or a lot of times, it's not necessarily with the manufacturer, within the manufacturing space, or at the point where the product leaves the manufacturer's facility. So calling a name can create issue that don't necessarily exist within the manufacturer, which is why that investigation become extremely critical, so you can really identify where the problem is and give the appropriate guidance. We also do not want to cause mass fear or hysteria, because without that investigation to fully evaluate where the problem could arise in that product, it could be, for me personally, how I handled that food or when I consumed it, that could have led to the issue, and not necessarily something wrong with the product or the packaging of the product. There's so many variants. We have to be very responsible in how we communicate, which is why I'm very happy we're here continuing the discussion.
Yeah. Ren, so one of the things you're saying is that companies should make sure that they test their water. What would that test involve?
All right, so we do maybe 3 various kinds of tests on water. The first is a physical test. So you expect water to look a particular way. You expect it to be clear, transparent. So it'd be looking at the turbidity of the water, how clear or how cloudy the water is. And then in terms of safety, it's primarily microbiological. So bacteria exist around us. Bottled water is not expected to be sterile. So let's just say that to all consumers. Bottled water is not expected to be sterile. However, there are limited amounts of bacteria that are acceptable, and we would want to test to ensure that is within the specified limits. Okay. There are some bacteria, though, that are harmful, that are pathogenic, and we don't accept them in any amounts. So these are like your fecal coliforms, your fecal enterococci. The most popular fecal coliform is E. coli, so everybody would have heard that. Mm-hmm. And again, these are organisms that have significant influence in terms of the health and safety of a person. Gastrointestinal issues, as I would have mentioned before, the diarrhea, the vomiting, it will cause things like that. And then we also test for things like Pseudomonas aeruginosa, long name, but essentially this is an opportunistic pathogen. So it exists normally in the environment, but if you are young or old or immunocompromised and you ingest this, which is usually found in water, then it could be of some significance to you.
Yep, Dr. Watson said something that was key to me, that it might not necessarily be their problem, because different waters have different things in it. So I might drink one this morning and I go and I drink one later, and I say, but that don't taste like the one I drink this morning. So exactly. how you work out that enough of this should be in it and too much of that is in it? How you work that out, Ryan?
All right, so the first thing is that quality, when we say quality, it's actually subjective. You might say, my shoes is quality shoes, come and buy it from so-and-so, and I might say, no, sorry, your shoes not good. Quality, how we determine quality can be significantly different based on taste or look. So somebody might say, this not taste right, but it doesn't mean that it's not safe or not healthy. So what we have standards which indicate safety parameters. It should have this amount of bacteria, this should be absent, this amount of solids, this amount of that kind of thing. And we're testing for those specifically. The taste profiles will differ, because if you have a certain amount of calcium in a product or magnesium in a product, the taste will vary, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the product is not safe.
Dr. Watson, final question, and I'm not asking you to call any names. But have you found that we have water out there that shouldn't be out there?
Not from what we have tested. I would say about 9 years ago, we were getting similar complaints, and SRC did an extensive sampling and testing, and back then there was an issue. And what we did was call in all the manufacturers, put the results up, this is what is happening, and we planned along with the manufacturers, and since then the quality has been at peak level for the most part. But we're getting a lot of companies popping up. We're getting a lot of new players. And what is not monitored effectively, you can have breakdown, which is why we see continuing your product.
We have to go, but
I have one question. I got to ask the question.
But the complaints is not from like one manufacturer.
No.
Yeah, the question I wanted to ask was, so is there something that indicates to me, the consumer, that this is a place that the water has been tested and approved? Like, is there a sticker, is there a certificate? So when I walk in, I can say, okay, this water is good for me.
That's a good question, and I think we are asking consumers to begin approaching your products and services that way. Ask your manufacturer, how can I know that the water quality is good? And then when consumers begin pushing these things, the regulators may need to be putting in, whether it's a certificate, it's a sticker or something to say this water quality has met the safety requirements.
Why can't you demand that?
We can demand it. I'm saying we are demanding
this conversation.
and we as consumers need to start demanding.
When I say why can't you demand it, why can't you say you can't put it on the shelf unless we have a sticker that says this is...
The SRC is not a regulator. So we support both the productive sector and the regulators. So we're in the middle there where we use facts to help make decisions and guide decisions.
Yeah.
So SRC can't say they must. That is the regulators.
Brilliant. Well explained. Thanks for coming. Dr. Shara Watson, Executive Director of the Scientific Research Council, and Rayan Shaw Phillips, Team Leader of Analytical Services at the SRC.
Up next, we meet the Kentish Brothers, a wrestling duo representing Jamaica. Come, Clive, we're going to wrestle the Kentish Brothers then.
I'm glad you called, Clive.